It's the La Femme Film Festival 2021. It is an exciting year to be alive. We have, for the very first time, brought the virtual and the in person all together, and it's a hybrid like none other. Joining us right now is Colleen Gallagher. Colleen, welcome for the first year ever to the La Femme Film Festival 2021.
Thank you, Aaron. I'm super excited to be here and interview and highlight these amazing directors and writers. It's going to be a pretty epic time.
Yeah, and next with us, Rosana Diaz Costa, A World for Julius. I understand this is a Peruvian movie. You're the director and writer. Let's jump into this. This is a pretty amazing story of its own.
Yeah, well, hello. Thank you very much for the invitation here. And yes, it's an adaptation of a very popular novel here in Peru that is called the same, A World for Julius. And well, this is like a whole event here in Peru, no, because it's been like a novel that for years the people have asked for an adaptation, no, and they wanted to see the novel in the cinema, no, and well, right now we're in the point of really showing here in the movie theaters too in November.
That's so exciting. And one question that I had for you is I was wondering, what are you hoping that people take away with, as it was in the world of Julius, through his eyes, understanding the injustices and inequalities? Like, what are you hoping that people take away from that? Because I thought that was so fascinating.
Well, it's a story of loss of innocence, right? So I think that anybody in the world can understand that, no? The idea of losing the innocence because you discover a world full of injustices and discrimination and racism, no? And well, the film is about that. And I think that although it takes place, in the 50s, it's a story that is from this time. It's completely in the present, no? Well, at least in this country, well, the same things take place all the time, no, and well, in most places of Latin America, this is a reality until now, no? So I hope, because I made the film thinking also in big children, no, the parents go with their children of the same age of Julius, no, and so you can think about our reality and starts a dialogue after this, no, about this type of problems that should not exist in the world until now, no, many years have passed since the 50s until now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. Sometimes there are, and the La Femme Film Festival kind of has been addressing a lot of big issues, but it's basically from all the filmmakers' perspective. So there are sometimes those that don't understand why things get made into good, but it kind of comes back to the filmmaker who puts out that information, gets people to talk about it, think, and then some will move forward doing something and some will not. What do you want to see next with that?
Well, I lost a little bit the connection with internet, but I think that you're telling me that perhaps some people get, this message and some other people don't get it, no?
Yeah.
Well, even if half of the people who see the film get it, that's for me perfect, and I also want the people to go back to the novel, no, at least in countries where they speak Spanish, that most of Latin America know this novel, and also Spain, it's very popular, this novel. And I know that in the United States they use this novel, for example, in a lot of faculties of literature, of Latin American literature, it's like a top novel there, and so even if half of the people, get this message and think about, this type of things, for me, it's perfect. I know that not all the people get this thing, and perhaps they say, okay, it's okay that the world is like that. But I think that most of the people, get in touch with children, and the protagonist of this film is a child.
Well, and that's my point. We need to get these conversations started, and as such, the trailer looks amazing. I will say the poster looks amazing. Great job. The young boy, what did you learn from him?
Well, the boy, when he appeared in the casting, it was like he's Julius. It was like he had the face of Julius, that I always had in my mind. And it was very nice working with this boy because he read the he didn't read the novel. No, the novel is very big, for a child of his age. But he, when after he was rehearsing and all that, he talked to me a lot about that. He asked me about the poverty here in Peru, and why are there so many differences, and So he's the protagonist, but he started to think about, these things.
Yeah.
And I hope, that other children who see the film, also ask themselves about these things, because he started saying, and I remember the first thing he told me when the first 3 days we were rehearsing, he said, when I am big, I would like to do something to change things here in this country, For me, that was like, wow, After 3 days of rehearsing, he wanted to.
Wow.
He had the idea of changing things, Because he really felt the character, He was like angry, with the things that happened to Vilma, the nanny, and to the other protagonist, And so he was like very inside. He had never done anything in the cinema, It's the first time he appears in screen.
Well, I can't wait to see it. It can all be seen. You can get your tickets now for La Femme. Just go to lafemme.eventive.org/welcome. You can get it right there. And you can, of course, check out all the great individual stories at lafemme.org. It's right there. Thank you very much, Rossana, for bringing this awareness. And, of course, congratulations on your filmmaking ability and a great job done. I will say that.
Thank you very much, Aaron. Thank you very much, Helene.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for the
invitation. We'll be back right after this.
I hope you can see the film in the La Femme Festival.
We're here with Afton. Afton, I'm gonna mess up your name. Quasaler?
Sailor. Yes, that's actually really good. Yeah, well done.
Thank you for making me feel good about that. Neurodivergent, though, is a USC thesis film, which I will say I'm very close to USC, and I will say, good job. Are you going to drop off anytime soon, or have you caught the bug and you're always going to do this from now on?
I'm always doing this. Yeah, I'm in. I've caught the bug. Yeah.
Good.
I love that.
Yeah, it's important. Neurodivergent, Colleen. I mean, first of all, what were you going to ask?
Well, I was going to say, I love this because I kind of like you. I actually found out I had ADHD right before quarantine. So I read this. I was like, what? So what I wanted to ask you is I just wanted to say, like, what first inspired you to seek help? And like, how did that even come about? Because in the preview, it was like you were shocked by this. So I'd love for you to kind of, what inspired that even transpire?
Yeah, it was a really interesting situation. So I had dropped out of high school pretty early, and I didn't go to college. I just worked, and I worked as a musical theater actress for years and years. And then I decided that I wanted to work a little bit more behind the camera and go back to school. So once I was in school, a lot of the things that got me to drop out of school started to come up again. And I already knew that I was dyslexic. So I needed accommodations. They told me I needed to get testing. So I went in and I got tested, and they were like, great, you're obviously dyslexic and this and that. And, with your ADHD. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? I didn't. No one ever told me that. So, basically, that's how I found out. And it kind of, I don't know about you, Colleen, but for me, it was like a light bulb. Like my whole life, I was like, oh, I'm not just lazy or stupid or crazy, or, these are actual things with my brain, and I just need to maybe have tools and adjust my life. And so I was in quarantine and in my last year of film school, and I needed to do my thesis, and I wanted to do a documentary, and I thought it was the perfect opportunity to figure out why so many women exactly like yourself are having this experience right now, and why our age group is going through that. So
yeah, and I love that you said this, because there's so many things I've learned as well with that. But I wanted to ask you kind of, what were you most surprised about with learning with ADHD? Like, what was the thing that kind of surprised you the most that affects us?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me was I just thought it was little boys running around. I didn't know. I was like, oh, I'm a 35-year-old woman. There's no way. I don't run around. I'm not hyperactive. If anything, I'm like tired most of the time. So I think my shock came when I realized, oh, that's why I'm exhausted, because my brain is on overload and it's constantly going. And a lot of us with inattentive ADHD were the kids that were daydreaming, and a lot of us were artists in some way, because that's just how our brain worked, you know? So I found that very interesting, that you don't have to be hyperactive to have ADHD, and it affects women and adults in general very differently.
I agree. And it's so powerful that you brought that. And then the other question I kind of had, or Aaron, I have one last question, Aaron, unless you had
keep
something.
going.
Okay. The question that I had was going to say, what are you hoping women take away from this? Because I know it is kind of like you said, there is a gender difference in it, but I'd love to hear from the film what you're super excited for women to be like, oh my God, like, yes, that can make so much sense.
Yeah. So what's cool is that it's been pretty rewarding. And I love that you were diagnosed during quarantine too. Like, I mean, I don't love that for you. I'm sure it's a journey. It's not like a great thing, but it's also great, because I think the thing that we can take away from it is that it's a difference, not a disability. You know, it doesn't have to be debilitating. And hopefully women will now, or girls will be able to have a diagnosis, as opposed to what we all did, which was think that there was a horrible character flaw and feel all this shame because our minds worked differently. And Sari Solden, who I talked to in the documentary, she wrote Attention Deficit Disorder, Women with Attention Deficit Disorder, a book that really affected me. And if you haven't read it, you should read it. But Sari is great. And she said almost the ADHD is less of an issue than the shame is. Yeah. So we've walked around feeling terrible about ourselves most of our lives, because you know, it does affect you in a lot of social aspects, and it affects your schooling. And then, you know, she says, my desk is messy turns into I'm a mess, turns into I can't have healthy relationships. I don't deserve to be in that. I don't have any worth, and I can't function in life. You know, it just spirals. And if you know what is going on in your brain, then you don't have to have that shame. It can be like a superpower, you know? So that's what I'm hoping women can get from this.
I love that. And it's so powerful. And so we're so grateful we got to talk with you about it. And I'm super excited for women to be able to watch it. So everyone make sure to go to lafemme.eventdive, I hope I'm saying it right, .org /welcome and get your tickets. And make sure you definitely want to see this one of Neurodivergent. It's such an important topic and will continue as we make breakthroughs in neuroscience. So thank you for saying yes to the calling. And I'm super excited.
We'll be back right after this. Thank you so much,
Colleen and Aaron. Thank you.
Good job. Great job.
Bye. Thank you.
We're here with Alexis C. Jenkins, who actually did a really good music video, and it is featured here at La Femme Film Festival 2021. Alexis, I gotta ask, putting this together, obviously not easy, but how cool is it to see it on the big screen soon?
I am more than excited and thankful to even just be on this platform right now. So thank you, Aaron and Colleen, for having me here. It's truly an honor, and also to have it screened on the big screen as well. Thank you.
Yes. And I'm super excited. So I read through everything. I'm such a sucker for love. I'm such a big one for fairy tales. So I just wanted to ask, like, what even got you started into R&B music?
Well, a lot of the influences that I grew up listening to, the musical influences, were mostly R&B, and that was thanks to my mom always bumping it on the weekends when we would start to have family time, and when we would clean up, and when we would just chill. And it just kind of manifested into my own journey of exploring music, and a lot of that is rooted in R&B. And so particularly with this music video, my colleague, my peer, my friend, Lila J, who is the starring artist, she has a lot of musical influences that are as well R&B, soul, even a little bit of hip hop that you can kind of sense a little bit through the instrumentals in the track. And so a lot of what we worked on for the creation of Fate was making sure we can cultivate that written language that she wrote as a love letter to someone she idolized and had this vision of being with them forever, and creating that into visual language. And so it's really just a phenomenon of the little intricate and intimate layers of love in a relationship, and what's ideal about that.
I love that. And that was one of my questions actually that I wanted to ask you is kind of like, why do you think love and intimacy is so beautiful in this video? Like within this one, what stands it out? Because I saw that you use those words, intimacy and love, and then you just use them here. So I really wanted to like dive into that so people could get a grasp of that through your lens, because intimacy, right, has a wide range depending on which woman you're talking to and what they've gone through. So I'd love to kind of offer that through you here.
Absolutely. A lot of what's seen is romantic. It really touches on like the physical and even like the energy forces that both of the starring actors, both of the starring talent really have in this music video. But there's a layer that really is so grounding and acts as the cornerstone of her love letter, like the original lyrics to fate, making the creation of the song itself, and that's friendship. At the park, in the camcorder footage, there's a lot of B-roll, and there's a lot of just natural chemistry that's showed of both of them just interacting with each other naturally and just being playful, just enjoying each other's presence. And I wanted to capture that as well, because I know, just like any relationship, it's not only just what you would expect. There's also a platonic level of respect and admiration and just individualism. I think that's grounded in this.
Oh, I love that. And I think that's such a beautiful way that you worded it. And I think the last thing I just wanted to say is, I know you said your mom, is that kind of, and you growing up with R&B and getting in that, what inspired this video though? Was it just through seeing people? Like, what was the inspiration of this is the last question.
Thank you for asking that, and even just mentioning my mom, because I know just growing up, just people watching just casually was a huge way of me learning the language of like people's physicality, and whether they were in a relationship or not. It kind of influences how I create this natural chemistry and intimacy and honesty with real people that's reflected in film. And so I didn't want to fabricate anything that wasn't true to Lila or her song or the lyrics itself. And so I really just took all of those notes just through other films, through music, just watching how my mom and even Lila just interacts with other people. And I wanted to make sure it was not only true and honest to Lila and the song itself, but honest to the audience and the viewers, and they can see themselves within this love story.
Okay. I love that, and the honesty and intimacy. So I'm super grateful. Thank you for sharing this. I feel like I'm like, oh my God, give me the love story now. So everyone make sure to be able to head to lafemme.eventtype.org/welcome and make sure to get your tickets. Definitely register to see Fate, and we're super grateful you shared your time and for everyone to go see it.
Thank you so much.
It's lafemme.eventive.org. You can get it all there. Go to lafemme.org as well. Thank you very much. Great job on this, and I'm looking forward to your next one. You're going to bring it, right?
Absolutely.
All right. Okay. But be cool for this week because it's awesome. Okay.
For sure. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Joining us right now is Savannah, Taylor, and I'm telling you, they are all doing it the same. And Jaslyn, you guys are obviously really cool. I could see the coolness happening, but it's really cool to be part of a film festival like this.
Yeah.
The Tale of the Daughter. What's this about?
Well, it started about the role reversal of a child caretaking for their parent after a traumatic event. But it quickly became kind of something we made as a superhero origin story about the mutual acceptance between a parent and a child. And whenever people have to step up for each other and kind of meet in the middle. And as serious as it sounds, it is a dark comedy with some action and a little bit of axe throwing.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that because I know the mother-daughter relationship. I mean, that is becoming such a mainstream topic, especially with like womb and just all of it, like the nervous system. And so I love that you guys brought this and talked about this. And what I wanted to ask you is, what did you most enjoy narrating on this film? Because I feel like even as women doing it, you still would be narrating it or even directing it, and there has to be this like emotional buy-in. So I'd love to hear that from you guys.
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, the mother-daughter relationship is like so instrumental into who the person you are. So just like this little snapshot of a moment after, you know, childhood with a mother, I think is just super important. Something that we wanted to showcase, I guess.
And just the complexities of it. You know, nobody loves you like your mother, but nobody kind of hurts your feelings like your mother either. It's like this strange oxymoron of this relationship of trust and pain that you have to constantly work on together.
Yeah, and I love that you had the mother-daughter and it's going to be the dysfunction over money. So that was instead of like the father, it was that. So I love that you guys did that as well. I thought that was just so like epic to put that. And then I'm just wondering like what really inspired you guys to do this one? I know that you kind of said what it was about or this, but what was the thing of like, this is the idea and we've got to make it happen?
Yeah. So a month into the 2020 pandemic, you can tell this, Jazz, you look ready.
Yeah, so I had been wanting to tell a story about caregiving for a while because I had experienced it with my mom and my grandma. They had a very tumultuous relationship, but at the end of the day, when my grandma needed it, my mom stepped up to the plate, and they were kind of forced to deal with a lot of issues that were never dealt with throughout, you know, their life. And I was really inspired by that, but I wanted to tell it in a way because there's so much sadness in that, and I wanted to tell it in a way that we could find like the laughs and the joy and the fun in it. Yeah. So I came to them just like, guys, we have a lot of time on our hands right now. There's nothing else to do during the pandemic. So like, do you want to create something? And then it just kind of snowballed and grew and into what it became.
Yeah, we kind of melded. We all had goals of what we wanted to do for our next project.
Yeah.
Jazzy was really interested, and she's done a lot of dramatic roles, and she was interested in but she's very funny, so she wanted to show that off a little bit, as she should. And then Savannah and I, you know, had been doing dramatic films, and we really wanted to kind of tap into more of our influences, like Taika Waititi, Quentin Tarantino, Wes Anderson, that quirky tonal balance that these directors have, and kind of showcase that dramatic muscle that we've been working on, but also the comedic muscle and, you know, an action scene. We really wanted to shoot an action.
Well,
I love it. And I
have to say, yeah, I have to say, I'm happy that you are sisters. Number one, like you're like the forever sisters of ever, right? Like,
I love that we're not sisters. Sorry.
No, I know, but you're the sisters like that. I say, like, okay, you know, the sisters of the traveling pants. What are they?
Yes, love that.
Yeah,
love
that's what I mean. It's like, you know, I see you doing so many more features in the future that you might as well wear like the same head, but you're all able to like, is that kind of the way you guys all roll? Like you just like you or you kind of already know?
Yeah, well, sorry, I'm just taking the mic all the time. We all live together. We all work together on each other's projects. There's a constant intermingling. Like there's not a day that goes by that we're not influencing each other's life in some type of way, you know, going to each other for advice or just like going to each other with ideas of what to do next. And what we're working on currently, our hands are in each other's projects constantly.
Yeah,
I could see that, right? Colleen, I mean, do you get that vibe?
Yeah, you guys are such like, I just love the whole concept. Like I'm actually super excited because I've never seen something like this. Like even in like books, it's more like fiction. So this is just such a cool dynamic, and all of your personalities, I can just like, it's just going to be great. So I hope everyone goes to lafemme.eventive.org/welcome and make sure to get your ticket for the Tale of the Daughter or one of the packages, because this will be educational. It's going to be funny. It's going to be dark. It's going to be emotional. It's going to be like, oh my gosh, like it's a roller coaster while you're in this film.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much for having us.
Guys.
Yeah. Thank you.
Absolutely. More after we get back, right after these messages. Joining us right now is Isabel. Isabel, obviously, directing. Sometimes people don't understand. They think, the director obviously gets everything they want and more, but sometimes it's not always that way. Your particular feature here, I'm going to let you say, because I don't want to mess it, To Know You With My Mouth, but it's Conocerte?
Yeah, Conocerte.
I love this, and I'm so excited. First of all, I love your shirt. This is everything. I feel like it's perfect for this. So
This is the comfort of my own home, and this is the outfit that I wear in the comfort.
no, I love it. So I first want to say though, what really inspired you to write this? I mean, it's such a captivating title. So what would you say? Like, what was the inspiration behind it?
Conocerte, I wrote the lyrics before the pandemic, and they became very appropriate because even though they're very sort of sensual and they're very carnal, it's about knowing someone's smell and knowing the texture of their skin. And it's like the beginning of when you meet someone and you want to know them physically and intimately. But then the pandemic happened. And so the moments where, we'd have to be apart, the song became all the more poignant. How there's nothing that really replaces the physical or the carnal.
I agree. And I had a lot of friends mention that to me during the pandemic. So I agree with you that it's such an important thing. And it's one of those senses that we kind of take for granted a little bit until this happened. So I saw two words that you wrote about it is desire and longing. And so I wanted to ask you like why you kind of chose those words as a way to describe this song or what that really means, I guess, in relation to this.
Well, I mean, it's the basis of the song. When you meet someone, but you haven't started like a full-on relationship, if you really start to like that person, there's desire and longing. But then, if you don't live together, if you're in different cities, or if you're pushed apart by the pandemic, that it's definitely a reality. And I think it was a lot of people's reality as well.
I agree. And I think what makes you so special, and I also think this song so special, is there's a lot of people, right? I think as a songwriter or just writers, we take for granted that we can express what we feel, but a lot of people, like they may have not been able to express that. So I think what your song is going to offer a lot of people is language to what is happening for them on the inside. And I think that's why it's such a beautiful opportunity for people to listen to it and read it. And I guess the other thing I was going to say is what else can people like expect, I guess, from you or with this once they tune into this? Like what else are we looking for in the future and in the now of you?
Well, it's really cool, actually. I want to say, big shout out to La Femme International Film Festival, because they actually were the first film festival to accept my music video in 2019 that I shot in Easter Island. So I was really very grateful to them for that. And the fact that that they selected this other very homemade music video and song that I wrote and performed, it was like, there's something about this festival, man. Like they definitely have their finger on the pulse of things that are like, raw and very unique and, maybe less polished, but original. So I have to say that I'm very grateful to La Femme for having selected those two works. I'm currently developing my first feature film here in Miami called Success into Life. Yeah.
What?
Wow.
Okay, I'm going to say, of course, as one of the family members here at La Femme, I know that for speaking for Leslie, if Leslie were here, she would say, of course, bring all of your projects here, because this is where you also learn, you meet, you make friends, you create forever friends. Is that kind of also what you're kind of saying, Isabel?
I think they're tastemakers. That's what I'm saying.
I like that. I like that. Well, I can't wait to see you hopefully very soon. We could talk about this as well. Colleen, I'm telling you right now, you're going to come back years from now and be like, oh my God, I'm so glad I finally got inducted to the family.
There you go. Thank you so much, Aaron and Colleen. It's been very, very kind of you and very generous of your time. And thank you for your interest in my work.
No, definitely. We're looking forward to seeing it. Get your tickets, lafemme.org or lafemme.eventive.org. We'll see you right after these messages. Stay tuned.
Hi.
How are you?
Oh, just fine.
Amazing. Well, I'm super excited because you have the Stronger When She's Broken script, and it's won numerous film festival awards, and it's been recently published in the book Screenwriting for Storytellers. So, yes! Oh my gosh, and it's Violet. Look at this, holding it up. I love this. So, what I wanted to ask you, because I think it's a really important one, is what do you hope people take away from the Stronger When She's Broken script? Because I think when a lot of people hear, like broken, it's kind of like, oh gosh, like I broke that vase, I broke that glass, I broke my heart. Like, what is it that you hope people can take away from this title or this perspective in the script?
Well, it's about hopefully this is working. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, I hope that they take away from this that they need to keep going in spite of any adversity, trials, tribulations that they're going through, that they just keep going. I am a stroke survivor. I have brain damage, heart damage, and I'm a lupus warrior. So I have a lot that I contend with. And so the story, Stronger When She's Broken, is about me explaining my journey, going through all of these trials, and how at each leg of the way, I didn't give up. I just keep going. It's hard, and the journey gets harder and harder. And the story is part thriller, part love story, and part adventure. But there are a lot of roadblocks and things that I need to overcome along the way.
I love that. And I can totally relate because I had cancer at age 14 and I had a diagnosis long-term and I overcame that. So I just love that you bring that up, and just for the part of the health, which is so important. And so in the script, I'd love to know, do you have these parts of how people get a health diagnosis and in ways feel broken, as you just shared many, and the practical steps of that? Is it through the love story? Do we get any little sneak peeks of exactly how that inspiration came after kind of feeling broken?
Well, yes, the diagnosis came, the lupus diagnosis actually came on the same day that I won an award for my book, Wicked Prayers. And so the doctor told me, I'm sorry, you're going to die. You have lupus. There's nothing else we could do for you. You're looking at having a massive stroke or a major heart attack. And that was 4 years ago. And what I did was sit down at my computer, taught myself how to write a screenplay, and then I started writing mini screenplays. And at the same time, I started writing this book. I wanted to tell my story and teach others how to tell their story at the same time, because my clock, my time was running out. And so, the diagnosis, it was a gobsmacking, but hey, 4 years later, woo, look,
there you are, and at La Film, which is amazing. And I wanted to ask, I guess, one thing as to kind of wrap up is, do you think that becoming broken is required in order for us to become stronger?
I think it was the thing that inspired me to finally pursue my dreams where otherwise I would not have. And I think that a lot of people think that they have all the time in the world, and you don't. And I thought I did. I mean, I was living the life of Riley. I was a diplomat working in Saudi Arabia. I'm hobnobbing with all kinds of bigwigs. And then boom, I couldn't perform anymore. And I was sick as I don't know what. I don't think that you need to be broken in order to pursue your dreams. But trust me, it's a hell of a motivator.
Yeah, I love that. And one thing I learned, and I say all the time, is people think death is the worst thing. I say that's actually not the worst thing. It's being given a diagnosis and realizing you never went for your dreams. So I love that you shared this. I think it's going to be phenomenal. I'm so excited you put it here. And everyone, make sure to go to La Film Festival. I feel like everyone, it's going to be amazing, and get the Stronger When She's Broken script.
Yeah, it's in the book, top 5 now. It was number 1 for the past 2 days. So yeah, I'm just honored that people are enjoying the story. And thank you so much, Femme, for having me. It's just been an unbelievable ride. I just never, almost dying to being number 1 with this book, and the script is just, it's a lot. And thank you so much.
It's just beginning. So everyone make sure to go to lawfilm.eventive.org/welcome. Make sure you guys get your when the stronger when she's broken script. It's been number 1, like you shared, and you're not going to regret it. So thank you so much. And I'm super excited to see you soon.
Thank you for having me.
Hi, how are you?
Hello, hi, Colleen.
Hi,
from Taiwan. It's Yihui.
Yihui. Okay, perfect. I want to make sure I said it right. I'm super excited, and you're in Taiwan right now.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing. Well, I'm super excited to talk to you about the Black Kite. And I love that you are touching on a topic of totalitarianism. So I wanted to know first, what inspired you to share about totalitarianism through a father and his daughter?
Okay, so to be honest, this film is about the White Terror area, and even though I'm not a direct victim of the White Terror, but I do share a very deep connection with the victim's daughter because my father is a patient of schizophrenia, and he wasn't actually a physical victim, I would say, but he has this illusion of himself under the surveillance of the KMT government since I was a little girl. And as I grew up, I realized that he was so sensitive that he could capture and absorb the fear that rooted in like everybody's mind, the fear of the dictatorship.
And what do you think fear is so important in bringing light to in this movie?
Okay, yeah. Well, the unspeakable fear was so deeply imprinted in our memory, in our citizens' memory. And as an observer, I found that personal pain and suffer affects not only oneself, but also the people around you. For most cases, political trauma victims can transfer their pain and suffer to their families. The victim's wife, the victim's children, but their misfortune was always neglected. In the narration of our history, it's always told by men. Yeah.
Yep.
So therefore, I decided that I would shot the Black Kite from the point of view of a 7-year-old girl.
And I love that you did. That's why I said like the father and the daughter. I didn't know it was exactly with you, but that is such a powerful statement because I do know as women we're receptive beings, and so like you said, we receive the memories of that. And so I guess what was the biggest thing? I know you kind of alluded to it, but I can say it in another way maybe. But what do you hope people really take away from the Black Kite? Like if you had one thing, if you're like, this is just what women or men or whatever it is got, what is that thing you really hope someone can walk away with?
I guess the longing for freedom, as long as the longing for freedom and democracy is rooted in our mind, then we would always keep an awareness on this issue, and we won't lose it, and we might be able to forbid ourselves to re-step into the horrible history.
I love that, and it's such a perfect time for this movie to come out with everything that's going on across the world, just understanding governance and what's happening. So thank you for creating this. And I want to make sure everyone goes to lafemme.eventive.org/welcome and grab a ticket to the Black Kite, because it sounds like it's just going to be such an emotional, moving movie that forever can transform the way you think.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi.
Hi, Lucero. Did I say it right?
Yes.
Okay,
Right.
perfect. How are you?
Fine, and you? How are you?
Great. I'm super excited to talk to you about the journey. I love that this revolves around an Uber driver. I think it's so great that that's the main character. And so I wanted to ask first before we get into what it's about, but what inspired this movie to be around an Uber driver as the main character?
Well, we decided to make a low-budget independent film in the middle in the pandemic, and because the COVID, I decided to make a movie inside a car to have less security protocols with the crew, and we only was four persons for the crew to have control of the pandemic inside the movie, and the actors be safe.
Yes. So that's a great way to do it. You were like, how can we do this practically and how can we still make this work? I love that. And I wanted just for you to share a little bit more, like, what is the movie about and what do you hope people take away from this movie?
Okay. Thomas is an Uber driver. He seeks to have another person in his life where he can feel passionate and happy. He wants to feel that he's alive, but his wife Karen doesn't support him, and the circumstances with his daughter Claudia force him to continue as driver. One day, unexpected passengers will completely change his daily life, and this driver is about to have the longest day of his life. And we decided to make this movie because the pandemic, we lose our jobs for that cancel many films, and as a team we managed to generate talent with the film and bring hope, and that soon we'll be able to make films as before without limitations and with more budget. We love our industry cinematographic, and we wanted to bring a ray of life by making this film.
I love that. And I think that you're just brilliant. I'm like, listen, you're so creative and so brilliant. You're like making all these things as it goes. And I think it was definitely so relevant during the pandemic. I mean, there were so many issues, right, with men and women and their relationships. And then even if you didn't have a job, you'd have to have an Uber. So it's so relatable because so many people probably went through like something like this. And I know that in the film there's a secret, or there's a passenger that shares a secret with the Uber driver, the main character, that changes his life. And so it kind of sounds like it's like a drama, but a romance, but a transformational, or how would you categorize it?
This film has comedy, drama, action. It's a lot of genres, and our main character in the story is a reflection of how many families have the economic problems, especially these moments of the pandemic. More people have lost jobs, but our message is that with faith and love for our work, we can move forward. And if you have not found what is your passion, like our main character Thomas, you have to find it and work with passion.
I love that, and I think it's such a powerful one, because like I said, you encompass so many of it. So I'm super excited. I want people to make sure they go and watch this because it will be a drama, it'll be relatable, and they'll get some laughing through it as well. So everyone make sure to head to lafemme.eventive.org/welcome and make sure to grab a ticket for the journey. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I hope you can enjoy the film.
Yes, me too. So I'll see you soon.
See you. Bye.
Hello, Drew and Keegan. How are you?
Hello.
Hello, good. How are you?
I'm so good. I'm super excited to talk with you guys. And you guys are the co-directors and producers. And the gray area deals with kind of the super powerful masculine woman having to deal with social or like consequences of being like that, right? So I love this. I feel like that's me or is me in some ways. So it's like, I was like, I'm excited to hear what these consequences are. So I wanted to see what is it you're really wanting people to take away from this? Because it's such a important thing to focus on right now. And I'm just excited to you guys brought light to this and what you want people to see from it.
Yeah, sure. And thank you so much. And I appreciate that. It's really validating to hear that from other women, actually. I mean, that's the best part. I mean, the film is essentially, a conversation about masculine women and women navigating society's reaction to that masculinity, and then the consequence and effects of that experience. And it is primarily through my perspective as the main subject, but then we have additional supporting voices, included in the discussion scenes as a way to we tried to leverage the fact that we feel like, I personally feel like every woman in the world on the planet understands what it's like to be judged for their masculine qualities, right? Mm-hmm. So that's essentially what we're trying to communicate.
I love that. And I had this whole thing in my life where I was like, I need to be more feminine, unleash my feminine energy. Like I went through this whole thing, right? And I even like shaved half my head. It was a whole deal. But anyway, I wanted to say, what is it like? I know you said it was based on you, but what was the thing that inspired you to be like, this has to be a movie. This has to be shared. This perspective needs to be put out there.
Well, first, we've all shaved half of our head. So that is something that we all also, yes, Drew too. We've all been there. So the idea actually was pitched to me by a professor when I was in film school back in 2010. And then it took another 6 years before Drew actually came and he pitched it back to me again as a strong potential film. And then through him and I deep diving into, the subject, then I was able to finally kind of connect with how other women in the younger generation would actually connect in with what, with what we were talking about. Mm-hmm. And then I decided kind of at that point, once I realized like, oh, okay, I see how this is about more than me. It's about beyond mm-hmm. me. And there are so many other women and still people in the, still younger generation that is experiencing this. And by this, I mean, that being in that space where you're being bullied and you're trying to figure yourself out and you're not fitting into, say, binary concepts. And, there's still a younger generation that's experiencing that. And then there are so many women that connect in with this storyline as well. That just really never explored this for themselves, and they're adults mm-hmm. now, right? So once I connected with that, I just basically decided like, look, if there's one kid that is out there, going through what I went through, feeling how I felt, and this makes them feel less alone, then this was all worth doing. And Drew totally agreed, and I'm sure he has his own motivation as well.
Yeah. And I love that you're saying this, because I think so many people don't take action on something because they're like, no one struggles with this but me. And I love that you kind of saw the evidence and that like this needed to happen. And so the last question I kind of had for you guys, and I don't know if you can say it might be like giving away the movie, but I was going to say, what's the number one consequence that you saw or you revealed that the masculine woman receive from rejecting society's expectations?
The number one consequence?
Yep.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah, you can give a couple. I was just thinking, I didn't know there was like one alarming one.
Yeah, I mean, I think there is. I think there is number one alarming one. It makes you question your identity as a woman, like period.
Yeah.
So that is the biggest consequence of being treated in that way. I don't want to give away, again, I don't want to too much of the film, but experiencing the consequences that come from your masculine traits as a woman, it causes you to question your identity as a woman. It's you are belittled as a woman to the point that you start to, or maybe potentially, I know for me, I can only speak for me personally, but I know that seemed like the mission. It seemed like people wanted to convince me for so long that if I wanted to be a woman, or if I was comfortable being a woman, that I couldn't have the traits about myself that were masculine. But if I wanted to keep the masculine traits, then I wasn't making sense as a woman. So I needed to think about whether or not, I was something else. That's my personal experience, but there are other voices in the film that discuss how it made them feel as well.
Well, I'm super excited. Drew, I didn't know if you wanted to say anything before we wrap up.
Yeah, I just, this was a really interesting concept that coming into the story as like an outsider. Obviously, I'm not I don't identify as a masculine woman or someone who experiences this type of lack of acceptance in my daily life. When Keegan asked me if I wanted to be a part of it, I totally agreed. Keegan is a friend, and I wanted to be able to help her tell her story. But through the process, I realized that there were things that even myself, as someone who thinks I think very openly and progressively about being respectful to people and how I address them and how I communicate with them, there were things along the way in this journey of making this film that I realized I needed to really improve on, assumptions that I had made about people based on their gender expression or their appearance. And the more and more we would work on the film, we would be out in public, and I would hear people say specific things to Keegan that actually came off as kind of like a microaggression or a backhanded compliment. And in the moment, they don't really realize what they're saying. So I'm hoping that the film does its job in illustrating how we can have a bit more tolerance and acceptance in our community.
I love that. And I'm so happy you guys interviewed on here, because it makes me more excited, because I'm like, this is just so great. There's so many people that need to hear it. I think for all of us as women, we felt it in some way. So anyway, everyone make sure to go to lafemme.eventiv.org/welcome and make sure to get your ticket for the Gray Area. Thanks, guys. Hello, how are you guys?
Hi, Colleen.
Hi.
Hello.
Oh my gosh, I'm super excited to be here and to talk with you guys about this. So you guys did a documentary, Autonomy of Wings. Yep. And so first, when I read it, there's a little thing that said like you just had this idea it was going to be like a few weeks that you were doing, and then the documentary went on for a few years. Or is that just in the movie?
It's it's all in the movie.
Okay, that was
Yeah.
but this is just so fascinating to think, and I love the topic, because so everyone who doesn't know, it's really going to have awakenings come through on racial inequality, right? That's really brought to some light with this, and it's fascinating that it was like something that was brought for a few weeks turns into a few years documentary. And I guess, what do you really inspired or hoping people take away from this?
Do you want to take that, Nakia? Or do you want? I can jump in.
Sure.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
I know that we really hope that people feel inspired to have these kind of spaces within their own mentorship groups and within their own spaces with young people. We really had a time together where we were present with each other, and we were able to bear witness to each other's life journey becoming women. So I know that's something that we definitely look forward to.
I love that. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. And just to say, we have been very blessed to be showing the film both within the United States and abroad for a little over a year now. And a lot of folks are asking us how we did what we did, which was we came together across very diverse and different neighborhoods in Baltimore City that, even to this day will still experience a lot of separation and even in some ways segregation. And we basically came across age, race, class, and made a space where we could investigate what conditions are needed to really see and hear each other, what conditions are needed to really engage empathetic witnessing. So our hope is that folks will want this too. And we like to say that the model in our film, the model of mentorship, is very easily replicated. It's very important for us, for audiences to know that.
I love that one thing you said was the empathetic witnessing. Wow, that is a profound word that I think everyone should have ingrained in their memory. That is there. And I love that you shared this, because there could not have been a better time for this documentary to really come out after everything that was brought to light. And this is a real tangible framework that people can, like you said, replicate and implement. So I think it's super exciting. I love that it's a documentary. I'm personally excited to see it, just to see like all the different groups that you brought together and how you did it. And so I guess, is there anything else you want people to know or have an open mind to when watching this?
I don't know if you wanted to go, Nakia. One of the things we've been talking about a lot, especially because we're a diverse group of women, both in race, age, and class. We started when the 10 young ladies who are featured in the film were in middle school when we began, and they're also creators on the film. They learned how to film and contribute to the film along the way. So the long and short of it is, we really didn't know what we were doing. We just knew we were supposed to be together. And we discovered that allyship can really move into collaboration when your heart's open and ready.
Just so many things you're saying, because it's like word beauty of a mind-opening expansion. So I'm just super excited, because like you said, it's like when people come together and you didn't really know the intention, you had just some heart-centered allyship, and then it blossomed into this educational film that is also duplicated, so it's scalable for other people to see how we can really transform this collectively. So I'm just super excited, and thank you both so much for saying yes to this and letting it come through you and being here. So I'm super grateful, and I want to make sure everyone makes sure to go to lafemme.eventtive.org/welcome and grab their ticket to this.
Thank you, Colleen.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Hello, Abigail. How are you?
Hi, terrific that we got on this. Thank you.
Yay! I'm super excited you're here, and I'm so excited. So you have the Best Feature doc at Philip K. Dick Fest, female crew. It's called The Origin of the Species.
Exactly right.
I saw this and I was like, I feel like this is so futuristic, but it's so in the now as well. And so from what I took about it, it's you did this, it's an experiment as scientists. It's basically how scientists are making human robots. And I guess what I wanted to know is, why do you think it's important that we're highlighting this today? I mean, I have some ideas, but I want to hear it from you.
Well, first of all, it is the current. It's what's going on right now. And second of all, I think scientific experimentation is often it's hidden from us. You know, we know it's going on. We read an article about it, but we really don't know what's going on. And what shocked me a little bit was that they're making these artificial women. I mean, and, you know, when you think about it, why is Alexa, why is Siri a woman's voice altogether? And I was just, you know, as a woman, my work is often about feminism, the body, desire. And I thought, this is crazy. They're kind of making these artificial women to suit maybe male fantasies. And in fact, one of the scientists, who I respect a lot as a scientist, but he was saying like, well, they're going to replace receptionists or secretaries. And I thought it's such a downplaying of the importance of roles that are often considered female roles, right? Yeah. So that's one of the important things. But I also think it's not just the future in terms of automation and jobs and economics, but it's also the future in terms of relations.
Yes.
And that's, I mean, look, we're Star Trek Voyagers already with our phones, you know, we're all attached to it. COVID has emphasized this. We both, you know, Zoom is a pain, but it also has allowed certain long distance friendships and developments and possibilities. So we see the strength of technology, but there's weaknesses. So I also think robotics is a question of ethics, because how do we treat objects?
Yep.
And if they, you know, we can, you know, as children, we have dolls, we have stuffed toys, we talk to them, we relate to them, we relate to our Roombas, we name them, but they're still when they break, they become things you throw away. So how do we relate to objects? We're a little careless with them. We care about them. They're our status. You know, it's like our car, our house, our clothes, our robot. And yet I started to think about Earth is an object. How do we treat, if we treat our objects so badly, what's happening to Earth? What's happening to the world we live in? So it also ends up relating to a much bigger topic, both about ethics and maybe even, you know, the climate change we're happening. I mean, that's my next film, so it's not really what this film is, but I started to realize that some of our relationship to objects gets duplicated in the world in problematic ways.
I love that you brought this up, and it's funny that you said this. So my mom actually, when I was a little girl, said, "Why is this GPS lady a woman? Like, I want a sexy man talking to me." And so literally on all of my stuff, I always make it an Australian man voice because she said this. So when you said this, it reminded me of that, because it's like, yeah, it doesn't come like 50% men, 50% women. It's always the woman voice. So my next question, you kind of alluded to it here, but I just maybe wanted to see if you wanted to share it in another perspective. But what do you think has surprised you most about the experiences or experiments you witnessed during this documentary? Obviously, you said, like, you know, it being more women or having this and relating to the objects, but I do believe ethics, that's coming up more and more. I mean, with Congress, with tech companies, I mean, with everything going on, it's coming up. That's the baseline of like, what's the moral ethic? And we don't really have a legal law for that, right? Yeah, because it wasn't in the Constitution, as we had no revolution for that yet. So what really surprised you the most about this?
The thing that surprised me the most was perhaps the most amazing thing was maybe the guy, the paraplegic, whose head is opened, and they put, you know, 4 gold electrons that have 90 connections, each of them, and that they've discovered ways to understand when we move our hand, they can read the electronic pulses so that when he thinks movement, the robot hand moves. But even more amazing, when they touch a metal robot hand, he feels it. And I think that was really, in a way, the most sci-fi of anything. You know, it was like thinking motion at a distance is kind of crazy. It's not, I'm turning on a machine, I'm turning on my brain. So I thought that was actually the most amazing. And maybe the point with it that relates to the ethics you're talking about is I found the women scientists were very interested in keeping the woman in the mix with the robot. They weren't so interested in making the ideal woman either for sex or for secretarial receptionist or even, you know, it was the women were interested in a way, the prosthetic aspect, the way it could help us have a better life. And I thought that was pretty strong, that was happening consistently, whether it was the surgeon or the scientist at Stanford with touch. So I thought that was the stuff that kind of knocked me around, made me think about it, like what's possible, what would be an ethical robotic development.
I love that. And one thing I know is I'm getting my PhD in psychology from Pepperdine. So one thing that I do know, or I've learned, is that biologically, women, right, we think more of the collective. This is from our womb. And we have a film at this festival that talks about the mother-daughter relationship, which I think is awesome to go with this. But you guys, the men, you know, think more of like, I have to do for me and my family, this or that. So it's interesting, that mindset. And you're bringing that up even in a robotic sense. So I'm just super excited. I love your passion with this. And I think it'd be epic for anyone who's watching this and wants to know more about the future of technology with robots and AI and how we're going to be interacting together. Make sure to grab your ticket to The Origin of the Species at lafemme.eventive.org/welcome. So thank you so much, Abigail.
Thank you, Colleen. And thank you, LA Femme.
Hello, how are you guys?
Good, how are you? Thanks for having us.
I am super excited to talk with you guys. So I know that you guys have done a film on the man behind the golden stars, David Mercius. I might be saying it wrong. Is that right, Mercius?
David Mirish.
Marriage. Okay, thank you for correcting me. So first I wanted to just ask, what inspired you to do this documentary on David, and tell us a little bit about that.
The idea came, Anselmo knows David personally, and he was talking about a little bit of his life. And I was like, well, we definitely should, make a documentary about his life. Because what's interesting about David's life is that he came from this family that created so many amazing movies, produced so many amazing movies, like Someone Like Hot, and Pink Panther. And but he actually carved his own way, and he became a PR for during the golden ages of Hollywood. But not only that, what's the most important thing for us is that he started inviting those celebrities that he represented to shine light into important subjects that like cancer, pancreatic cancer, and raise money to important causes. And he raised millions and millions of dollars just doing those events. And it shows how one person can make a huge difference in the world, because we are always saying like, oh, it's just me, I cannot do anything about it. But it's not. If you actually, it's like a domino effect. You do something, good, and you actually end up causing, so much more greatness in this world.
Yeah, and I love that you brought that up, because I think we do get in that belief of I'm just one person, but some of the other films we've been talking about, which was ethics or just different things, it's like you as one person do have a moral responsibility to be in ethics with yourself or be in ethics with the world. And so even with this, and one person to change the world, you can do that if you allow your mindset to go there. And so the other question I have for you guys is, what do you think people will be most surprised about with David's life through this documentary? And what do you hope to take away from it?
I'll let Anselmo talk a little bit.
Yeah, hi, Colleen. The project started, like Marcella said, with the conversation that we had in this relationship that I developed with David, and David being still active today. He's still doing his events in Montana, sometime here in LA. We believe that we bring that story, his life story, can have this huge impact in creating people, bringing people more interested in actually helping people, and this is something really, really important for us to make sure that people know about this, So I don't know if I answered your question. Sorry.
No, I think you did. And I think really the biggest thing people are going to take away from this is watching how one person really did so much in their life. And I think that's such a beautiful thing. And I hope that I get invited to any of his parties. I'm just kidding, any of his events. So
yeah.
But I think it's just great to have two people who always can highlight someone who's done a lot, and for us to see like, wow, it's not this so far out there thing. It's something that we all have the power to do if we choose it. So I'm super grateful you guys took the time to highlight David. And I definitely think those of us who have big dreams are going to want to make sure they get a ticket to this, to watch it and learn. So anything else you want to share?
I think not. I think mostly what I would like to add, I think the world has been so divided right now, so fractured, that I think we need more positive intake on like what can bring us together and what can make us closer without constantly think about what is dividing us at the moment. So I think that's the main goal of the documentary, is that, I know we have all our differences and we think in different ways, but we need right now to think collectively, to, help each other, to be there for important causes like pancreatic cancer. There's only like 5% of survival. And if we don't talk about it, and if we don't do anything about it, no one does. And one person does make a huge difference. Like with David, he created this event for pancreatic cancer. And with that, with the money raised, they created the pancreatic cancer, the PAM which became an organization to help other patients and to have an early detection facility. So that made all the difference. So it's just like one person. And so, yeah, don't be discouraged to do something different in in this world, and don't focus on the negative, try to bring some positivity. And so, yeah, that's pretty much it. And we're mostly all of us were a female group. We have everyone except Anselmo. He's the only guy, and Julio, who was also one of the composers. And but so we were all very empowered by the message. Despite Dave being a guy, he actually helped us as a group, not putting us separately. So
Just Colleen, just really quickly, David is 84 now, so he comes from a different generation from most of the people that are connected with YouTube right now and everything. So it's very interesting for the young people. When I say young, I mean like 20s, 30s, to watch the documentary, because you're going to give them a glimpse of how things were done maybe 30, 40, 50 years ago. And the work that he started that time, and still make an effect today. So thanks so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you so much. And everyone make sure October 14th to 17th, that's when it's going to be. So make sure you can do it virtually or at in person. Head to lafemme.eventtype.org/welcome to grab your ticket. So thank you so much, guys.
Thank you for the opportunity. Bye-bye.
Hello, Brittany. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm so great. I'm super excited to talk to you. So
that makes me so excited. I'm just so grateful that I'm able to have my voice heard.
Yes, and this is your first script, right?
Yeah.
So what inspired you to do that? Like, how did we even get here? And then, yes, your voice is being heard. How did this happen?
So I'm an actress, and I felt like a lot of the roles that I was going in for, getting cast for, didn't really showcase what I can do. Like, they were all these one-dimensional characters. And at the same time, I really, in my real life, was living a double life. And it impacted me so much that I needed to write this story. So this, even though it's a 1-hour drama, but this is based off of my actual real life. And I worked at a club, and it took me down this deep, dark rabbit hole that during the pandemic, I decided to write about it and try and be a voice to other women of color, just because our voice isn't really heard, especially when it comes to that kind of industry. Everybody thinks it's like fun and games and it's jokes, and it's not. It was really dangerous and scary. And I just want to bring light to what really goes on, at least here in Los Angeles.
And I love that you're bringing this up, because one thing you said, like a dual life, I think there's, as women, we constantly live dual lives. Like, even if it's not, and we can scale that in many different ways, right? But there's a dual life in just cooking, to wanting to like be this sexy kind of person, to also being a business person. So like, there's all these avatars and things that we're kind of expected to be. And I know that may not be the right, but like the right frame for what your script is on, or this part, but it still is so relevant for every woman to be relatable to. So I guess I just wanted to say, like, what do you really hope people take away from Stripped?
Well, I hope that they can learn really the struggles that women go through, women of color. I came out here with nothing and tried getting hired as a bartender, as a server, and I wasn't getting hired. All my options were exhausted, and I wanted so desperately to be an actress and to make it in this city that I took this job that I thought would be an opportunity, because I was making all of this money. But with taking that job, I mean, it opened the doors to, I mean, I got beat up on many occasions by customers. I was sexually assaulted and raped. And I even then had to start pimping out other women so that it didn't happen to me. And this goes on everywhere, all over the city. And people think, oh, like, no sex in the champagne room. And it's like, no, it's not like fun and games like people think. Like, these are real people with real lives. A lot of those girls were educated. They had master's degrees and just either couldn't get hired or weren't making enough money, so they would work there. And it's just, I really want to shed light on something that I think people, it's been controversial. And I mean, now with, Hustlers, things are coming out in the open, but even that portrayed something very different than what it actually was working at a strip club.
I'm so grateful you did this. And I'd say, what do you think you're most proud of yourself for this film? And what are you excited for other women to see, like what they could be proud of themselves for too?
I'm just excited that I wrote it and that another woman wrote it with me. She helped me because I've never written anything before. Her name's Nancy Gamino. And most of the people that I had asked to help me with this project, when they heard about it, they were like, yes. But then when I said, I wrote it for myself, like to act in, then all of a sudden it's like crickets. But I'm just grateful to Nancy. And I hope that this will help anyone who's struggling with any sort of pain that they might be going through. And I think that there's so many lessons to be learned from this story. And hopefully it'll give some healing to a lot of women of color, because most of the cast is women of color. So
well, I'm so grateful that you chose to say yes to sharing this and letting your story be heard. And I know there's many women who suffered from this silently, and it's going to be beautiful that they have it in an hour film or script for you to see or begin to see and learn more about. So everyone make sure to head to lafemme.eventive.org/welcome and make sure to get your ticket for Stripped.
Thank you so much.
It's October 14th to 17th. And so make sure in person or virtual, but thank you so much. And I'm so grateful to hear your story and to see it.
Thank you for talking to me.
You're welcome. All right, bye, Brittany.
Bye.
Hello, how are you, Lauren?
Hi, I'm doing well. How are you, Colleen?
I am so good, and I'm super excited to talk with you. So let's hear about it. What inspired you to be here? What inspired you to get here? How are we here?
Well, I mean, I loved listening in on all of this and seeing how many people have been creating things during the pandemic. I mean, this is exactly why I made this. So last year, I was supposed to shoot a pilot for a TV series that I had raised money for in March. And of course, then, the world kind of came to a halt. And so during that time, I spoke with a couple of friends and I thought to myself, why don't we just make something about the pandemic during the pandemic, shot in this apartment? Mainly because I noticed that with all of us, we felt so utterly alone, and we were sharing in this group experience as a whole that was very similar. I think for the first time in most of our lives, we were sharing in something collectively that was very traumatic. And nonetheless, we all felt so completely alone and isolated ourselves, by necessity, but also we didn't really reach out to each other. And I think I wanted to create something that showed that our circumstances were more alike than we thought and make it comedic.
I know. I love that you added comedy to it. Like, that was one thing that was my favorite. I was like, I like this as a comedy because I totally agree. And Dr. Peter Levon, he's actually a trauma specialist, leader in that field. He said that trauma is anything that emotionally destabilizes us. And so even just what we all went through, no one can say they weren't emotionally destabilized at some part of it, like with whatever it was. So I love that you brought that up. And I think it is important to make kind of funniness out of aloneness, because I think we do take it as this serious thing. And so what are you most excited about to bring to light through comedy with that feeling of alone or this? I think it's a topic most people are like, but I'm excited to hear what you say.
Well, I think, we all know how horrible this whole experience was, but there were things that were very, strange about it in the sense that, all of us looking out the window and seeing people in their masks and wondering, are they attractive or not? We haven't had human touch or interaction in such a long time. So, it's just about that, how many of us were drinking so much more through the pandemic. And I wanted to create something that sort of blurred the line between fantasy and reality, because let's face it, this past almost 2 years now, but year and a half has felt like very, very long, but also the shortest period of time. So that's why I created the longest day of the year, because our sense of time and reality is all kind of warped at this point.
It is.
And I think everyone deserves to laugh. It's been such a hard year that I wanted to make something that would at least make people feel a little less alone and a little more connected.
I love that you're sharing this. And there was a songwriter who kind of wrote about the physical touch part missing from COVID. So I love that.
Yeah, I saw that.
So I think that this is perfect. And I think it's great that people are gonna be able to laugh and have that humor. Cause I do agree. Like every time someone's like this or that, I'm like, I don't even know what year. I'm super excited that you offered this. And I love what you said is that everyone deserves to laugh. I think in this time of such division that's gone on, we've kind of forgotten that is such a unifier, laughter and happiness. So I'm grateful that you've provided a solution and an opportunity for that through this. And is there anything else you want to add or say?
I think it's just so, I think it's so beautiful to kind of watch the progression that everyone's made during this time. I think we were all sort of forced to look inward and kind of inspect some of the more uncomfortable parts of ourselves and our lives. And it's kind of amazing to see how many people from that experience started creating such beautiful art. I mean, I've been sitting here listening to all of these women who have created such amazing projects during the pandemic. And that was the other reason I created this, was kind of just to inspire people that, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. After the plague, there was the Renaissance. So, I think it is kind of a period of just much more art and much more art with inclusivity. So I'm very excited for that.
Well, I'm super excited. I'm excited to laugh about me feeling alone in my own life through this. So that's so great. And I want to make sure everyone heads to lafemme.eventtype.org/welcome. Make sure to get the longest day ever, or the longest day comedy, and laugh and enjoy this. It'll be October 14th to 17th. You can do it in person or get it virtually. So thank you so much, Lauren.
Thank you, Colleen. Bye.
Hello, how are you guys? Oh, I don't know if I can hear you. Can you unmute? There you go. We got it. Okay, that was good. Well, I'm super excited to talk with you guys about Stupid Cupid. I love this name. Obviously, it's so great. And I love that when I read about this, it's really about the dating apps and how it's a series that you've done with four people in New York going through dating apps and their love journeys and stories with that. And this is so relevant because obviously during the pandemic, everyone turned to dating apps because you couldn't really meet anywhere. So I just love to kind of start with that. Is that what inspired this? Was this time of solitude? Or were you already working on it? Or
no, we were already working on it. We actually got a grant back in 2019, right?
Early 2019.
Early 2019, we got a grant to produce the series. And so we had filmed right before the pandemic happened.
And then in the pandemic.
And also, like, in the pandemic, there's one scene in the series where we had to pivot to Zoom to film the final pickup that we had. It was crazy, but we made it work. And so this is actually inspired by before Yaroslav and I are partners in art, but also in life. And before we met each other, we both had experienced online dating, and also our friends, I would share my bad dating stories at cocktail parties and people would laugh and they'd share theirs. And I was like, there's something to this. We got to share more of our ridiculous experiences. So
I love it because I've definitely had my fair share of that. So it's been like that. So And I guess, what is it that you hope people take away from this about love and dating?
I think that, first of all, you're not alone, and online dating is a whole new animal. And that's the thing, like doing research for writing this project and creating it, we learned a lot about just the psychology behind how apps are created. And then also, you know, just the impact it's having on us as human beings by having unlimited choices. It's actually restrictive having unlimited choice. So, and you know, that's great for the apps. It keeps you going, it keeps you doing things, but just for you to find things to make apps work for you. I think that's what I want people to remember. And also, I think we have work to do as a global community to be more inclusive and accepting of each other. And I think that's another reason why we wanted to strip all of the app is sort of a happy accident, and it breaks and it becomes this app where you can't see, you just get matched based on what makes you unique and like your values and things. So, and yeah. And so it was just a social experiment to see what would happen too if we actually had that option.
I love that. And there's something that I did hear. I'm a millennial. I'm like right at the cusp before Generation Z. So I'm a millennial, but I heard that basically with my generation that we will go on apps and we're so used to just being able to find the next person. We don't know how to relate. Like we'll be like, oh, I'm not going to deal with that fight, so I'm just going to go on an app. And it's just so funny. So I love that you brought this up. And I think the other thing that I'd like to share with you, or I wanted to ask is what was the final, like you had said a little bit, but what was the final thing that was like, yes, I'm going to be doing this series. Yes, like I have to do this. Like I know you said like, we wanted people, our own experience, wanted to highlight more, be inclusive, but what was the final moment of action?
What do you think, Grant?
Yeah, I think the Grant, because Sarah had this story in mind, and she had this concept that she shot that when we first met, she was shooting this concept, proof of concept for the show. And I think the story was always there. It was unchanging. It was a story about bringing people together and showing kind of how the world really is. Because when we see dating shows and dating movies and rom-coms, it's always like two straight white people. And that's not how the world is. And so Sarah had this idea that she was championing. And I think the Grant really kind of validated the story and Sarah's storytelling.
And when Yaroslav came on to help co-write and then direct, it really came alive. I have to say that too.
It's two heads are better than one.
I know. I love how you guys are like, we're life partners, we're art partners. I love, like, you guys just have the whole vibe. I love it. And so I like that you guys have the theme through this festival too of being inclusive, and like that's a huge thing we've heard. So I really like that you brought that, and I'm super excited for people at the film festival to make sure they go and see Stupid Cupid and learn more about the dating app and how it's impacting them. October 14th to 17th, you can purchase your tickets online at lafemme.eventtype.org/welcome, and it's in person or you can watch it virtually.
Oh, thank you, Colleen.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Hey guys, how are you?
Hi.
Hey.
Doing pretty well. How about yourself, Colleen?
I'm so good. So Tracy and Alyssa, I'm excited to hear about Ghosted. First of all, I read this thing and I was like, yes, finally this is coming out in a love story, but I'll just share what I read about so people know. But it's a love story where the guy, basically he has a past, but the past is like a ghost, right? With him or something like this. So
right, that follows him around. Yeah.
Yes. So okay, I totally believe in ghosts and spirits. So I'm like, yes, I hope this is a true story, even though it might not be. I was like, this would be so cool. So I just wanted to share, for obvious reasons, it's a little different than normal love stories. But what do you think really inspired you to share a love story from this perspective?
From this perspective, I dated a widower, and he was, there's different when someone passes away. It's not the same as a breakup. The relationship never really ends. You didn't choose to end it, as someone's taken from you. So it felt like she was kind of still around, while we were dating, and that was a lot to get used to in some ways. And at the same time, I thought, well, it's not just him that has, a past. I have a past. What am I bringing? And I thought, I'm bringing a lot of baggage myself to this relationship. So I thought, let's literally bring a ghost and literally have the woman carrying around a lot of baggage, and let's see what happens. So
I love that. And because I'm getting my PhD at Pepperdine, and one thing we just did, and we talked about, is like when you come into a room, it's not just you. It's like all this stuff from your day, from your life. And so that's why I love this, and also I love ghosts. I was just thinking, it's so amazing. And I guess I just wanted to say, like, what really inspired you? I mean, you said a little bit like you dated a widower, but what is that? What inspired you? Like, this has to be, like, there has to be more to this. Is that like the inspiration to action, or what was that moment?
Well, to do the first, originally I had, it was a darker piece. It was, you know, the short and the end is full of magical realism. It's very light and fun and like I told in the fairy tale storybook kind of way. That's all because of Alyssa, because originally the character that she plays, Stacy, the lead, was very aware of her baggage and weighed down by it, of her emotional baggage that she carried around with her. And then Stacy came in and read with Joe Reitman, who played Edwin, and Alyssa, sorry, like Alyssa came in and read as Stacy, and she just brought such a light to the character, because we're all we have this baggage, but we just carry it like it's nothing. We don't realize we don't have to carry it around. And what she brought was it was so special. And so that once she read, I thought, we have to do this. This has to be made. This is so original, and whatever it takes to get it done. So
I love that. And I the other thing I want to bring to light that you guys that I think is important is, when we're in relationships, we often think like, this person has this and this and this, like they have all this stuff. Like, I'm going to place that on them. And it's actually like both people. And so I love that you're like, I realize like with this. So I think it's going to be such a great love story through this to like bring through. You don't have to carry it around. And I guess anything else you'd like to share with everyone? Because I feel like I don't want to give too much away, like ask you a question and be like, oh, here's the whole movie, but anything else you want to share?
No worries. Alyssa, do you have anything?
I mean, it was so much fun creating it and working with such an amazing wardrobe department and getting to pick out the bags, just all the details that Tracy always thinks with, and bringing it all to life was just such a great experience.
I think it's so creative, and I think everyone who any love story, this is like a love story that's out of the box. People are gonna want to watch, they're gonna want to see, and it's gonna like also help you in your relationship to see what you can still let go of. So I'm excited. I'm excited. So I think it's a cool concept, and I want to make sure everyone goes to purchase their tickets at lafemme.eventtype.org/welcome. October 14th to 17th. And I mean, Tracy's and Alyssa's energy and what you guys were like, this is like going to be just such an epic transformational perspective on love. So make sure to go check it out.
Totally.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Tennessee. How are you?
Hey, how's it going?
I'm so good. I am super excited to talk to you. So I like read the description for this film and I was like, oh my God, this is like a drama thriller on your seat at the edge. What is happening? And so what I kind of grabbed from this was that it's really an intense family dynamic that I think everyone can relate to, intense family dynamics in different ways.
Yeah.
But it's really a stepdad, right? And a mom with a girl. And the stepdad is taking the mom's medicine away that's slowly killing the mom. And then the stepdaughter kind of is like stepping in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go ahead.
The way I like to describe it to people is, you know, in an effort to save her mother's life, a 17-year-old has to make some morally questionable decisions involving her stepfather and their family slaughterhouse. And it's a world that I know really well. I grew up working in my own family's slaughterhouse from the time I was 11 until I was 18, but I didn't kill anyone, I promise. So, you know, there's that. But yeah, it was a wild and very kind of close to home piece.
And we have another film that's in this festival that goes with the mother-daughter relationship. So I love that yours as well. It's obviously this one's way more intense. I like that. But I'd like to say, like, what was the best part about directing and I mean, what was like your favorite thing to do about this? I mean, this would just seem like I would be out of my body writing it. Like, it's almost like it would be bulging out of me. So what was like your favorite thing?
Yeah, well, so I only wrote and produced. I actually worked with Bola Ogun, who was the director on the project. And, you know, I was working on the show Lucifer at the time. I was in the writer's room as support staff. And I wanted to be a writer, and everyone kept saying, okay, well then write something, show us like who you are. And I hated working in that slaughterhouse. And I thought I had such a contentious relationship with my stepfather. I was like, I'm just going to marry those two things and I'm going to write something. And it sat on my desk for like a year and a half. And I remember meeting up with Bola Ogun at the back of this coffee shop. And we were both holding hands and crying about like how hard it is in the industry for women and queer people and women of color. And, you know, she was like, well, I've already directed a fantasy. I've got a comedy. I'm looking for like a thriller. And I was like, and so I like told her I had it. I sent it to her. She emailed me back and she was like, yeah, I want to do this. Can you get us like $28,000? And so I wound up crowdfunding, and we raised about 33. And so we had enough to do it. And she had a phenomenal team and we pulled it together. So I think for me, like it was a chance to put my heart on paper, but then see it morph into something so much bigger and so much more realistic than I could have done on my own. And getting to like share in that art with other creatives was my favorite part. It's why I've been in this industry for 10 years.
I love that. And I love your passion behind it and like just knowing it. So this makes me so happy.
Yeah.
I think the other thing is just with the story, because it's such a drama one, so I don't want to get too deep into it so people go watch it. But what do you hope people really take away from this? Because it is such a dynamic that so many of us can relate to.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is that no matter your circumstances, like it's always important to stand up for yourself as best you can, and nothing is ever hopeless. Like, even though she's in dire circumstances, she doesn't let that overtake her or ruin her life or consume her. She steps in and you know, kind of stands up for herself. And that, I think, is the most important thing, especially for women, especially for queer people, which this character is. So I kind of just wanted to send a message to people like me.
I love that. And I'm super excited. Like me personally, like I know this is when I'm going to be on the edge of my seat, like feeling like I'm in the movie, what's happening. So I'm super excited to watch it. And I think everyone, if you want to just kind of have a dramatic and experienced way to release the emotions that you felt, this is definitely the movie for you to watch with family dynamics and standing up for yourself. So make sure to head to lafemme.eventtype.org/welcome to get your passes, and make sure to get your ticket to Hangry. And it's October 14th to 17th. You can watch it virtually or in person.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? I'm actually waiting for my writing partner.
Okay.
I think we were at 2:25, but
yeah, we can wait a little bit. We can wait a second. So anyway, well, I guess I'm super excited because I had another person that I just talked to that also was a comedy script. So I'm excited that there's two of you. And I guess I can just wait, but I'll just say so people know. But yours is called Most Likely to Conceive.
yes, we're super excited to be part of this, and yeah, we can't wait for the festival. So
yeah, and I mean it's October 14th to 17th, so it's like coming up, or literally
coming up really soon.
Yeah, so it's like I can't believe we're already in October. Time has kind of like transcended so quickly as we've gone through this time loss or time warp of where are we at with everything happening.
I know. I mean, I was just feeling like it was just August, and suddenly, like, I don't even know what happened to the month of September. It
went by,
vanished. So
what's your writer's name?
Brittany Fonte.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
And how did you guys know each other?
So she's my co-writer. So we actually met in college a long time ago. And then just started writing screenplays together 4 years, 4 years ago or so. So she's a middle school teacher, but also is a poet and novelist. And I teach at Arizona State University. I teach film and media studies. And then one day I was like, let's write a script. She
Amazing.
said, okay. So that's how it started. So
I actually went to ASU for my master's. So
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah,
great.
I got it in global technology and development. So it was the School of Innovation.
Right. Oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm meeting people all the time.
It's the largest undergrad. I think. Hi, how are you?
Yeah.
Hi. Hello.
we started a little bit early. So anyway, we were just chatting. We learned a little bit about you and how Avia, right? Aviva, how Aviva and Brittany, how you two knew each other. So we're sharing that. And then that it's a comedy script and it's called Most Likely to Conceive. So what I love about this and what I say, it sounds like a hilarious script to me. Like I just hear it and it sounds hilarious. But I'd like to know what inspired you to talk about conceiving.
Britt, do you want me to do it, or do you want to do it?
Sure. So actually, we both have experience with this. Aviva and I are both married to women, and I went through IVF with my daughter, and I know Aviva and her wife as well had some experience with IVF, and it was something that we both understood quite well on different sides of the experience as well.
And I like that what you said, that you both have experienced this in different ways and through the kind of perspective or the life that you guys are going through. So I think, and it's great to bring comedy to it, because obviously there's a lot of perspectives that can have a negative connotation. There's some that are just neutral, and some people that this is really relevant. And so I like that comedy is such a way to bring light to some of these issues or some of these topics that are awkward to talk about. And so I guess what I wanted to know is what really from this, what can we expect, I guess, to learn or to understand more about conceiving as it comes to this script?
So, I mean, one of the things that there are a couple of things, but one of the things we were really interested in. So on the one hand, I mean, both of us are in relationships, but I know more and more women who are choosing by choice to be single moms who are then going and conceiving on their own. And so our main character, Corin, has made this choice because she's always wanted a baby and she's getting a divorce. So part of the comedy is around her sort of conception journey, but part of it is also about her trying to figure out sort of what to do now that she has formed her whole identity around her marriage and now is leaving that marriage, not willingly, right? So it was not her idea, and her trying to sort of figure out who she is, right, outside of this idea of the life that she thought she was going to have. And so it's part of the sort of, I mean, it is a comedy. It's absolutely a comedy, but we'd like to think that there's some sort of relatable dramatic elements in there as well, sort of thinking about how you figure out who you are once you realize you maybe aren't the person that you thought you were going to be when you were 16, right?
I love that. We had another film that was talking about this similar topic, and I like that this is being brought up, because I agree. I think as women, a lot of times, you know, even in Disney movies, it's like, get the prince, do the thing, like get married, have the house, have the kids. And, you know, I've lived a very different life than that as well. But I think that more women are saying, like, I'm willing to conceive on my own and be the single mom. And, you know, men in a way kind of might be thinking the same thing as well, but obviously not conceiving. But, you know, there's different ways to be doing this. And so I just think it's going to be such a great comedy and drama, and such a great way to bring light to this, because I think as we transition more and more and more, this is not going to be abnormal to have this lifestyle as a woman. Like, we'll be seeing it more in films and scripts, and just another way to choose your reality besides just one that's being given to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and then is there anything else you guys wanted to say about it, or anything else people should look forward to?
Well, I'll just add too that, I mean, one of the things, so it's a buddy comedy, right? So one of the things that happens to Corin is that she encounters the doctor who ends up working with her at conception is a girl that she bullied in high school. So Corin was a popular girl in high school. And so part of the film is also about her having to sort of reconcile herself with her past and to make amends to this girl, this former girl, I mean, this other woman, right, who she had previous interactions with. And now both of their lives are very different than they were. So, Britt, I don't know if you wanted to add anything.
Yeah, I mean, we wanted to do a very diverse female buddy comedy. Both main characters are biracial. And we wanted to kind of bring some discussion to not only as women, how we try to see a friendship that could come from just that one similarity of being a woman, but definitely two characters who should have more in common and still can't quite connect in the beginning. And there are a lot of male buddy films out that are hysterical and they do crazy things and have crazy journeys. And we didn't think there were quite enough female Betty films that did the same sort of thing. So that was our goal, was to make something funny, but also show how we have so many things in common as women, and as women of color, and as women who have maybe different sexualities. So that was our goal.
Well, I love that. And I think it's, like I said, it's so diverse, and it's also a topic that's going to be trending as we evolve. And it's a trending topic now even. So I think it's a great way through a comedy strip and a drama, and doing it as a buddy one. So I'm super excited to listen to it. I'm super excited for everyone who is watching to make sure to get your ticket to Most Likely to Conceive from the La Femme Film Festival at lafemme.eventive.org/welcome. So it's October 14th to 17th. Thank you guys so much. And I'm super excited.
Thank you.
You know, in the beginning, all films were short.
It's not a charity. We're not here to help you. We're not here to help your cause. We're there to make our money make money.
It probably takes a year to 2 years to really start seeing money.
That title of executive producer on a feature is not the same as the title of executive producer on a television show.
Because what you're seeing on television right now is history in terms of where decisions are being made today.
Don't give yourself a bad review before you start.
I'm sorry, I'm super awesome, and this is my pitch.
What are recommendations for packaging?
Getting to the right person at the right time, and you have the right piece of the package that they want to see.
And be able to adjust, because the plan will never execute exactly as you plan it.
If you set aside money for social media, for a publicist, for marketing, things like that, and really you don't have to sit behind those dollars, and you can have more control of your own release.
You can't go wrong. As for me, I knew that my episode was either going to be awesome or fine. That's the risk you take.